Richard Davenport joins us, Whole Hog Sports, Arkansas Democrat-Gazette. Richard, do you have a beef here on this beautiful Wednesday like Tommy? It probably is the portal cycle, isn't it? Just where it lays on the calendar.
Say again, I'm sorry.
Do you have a beef here this Wednesday? Anything that's rattling your cages a little bit?
Yeah. It's the whole portal stuff, NIL too. You can't blame the kids for trying to make as much money as possible. I get it. Some of it's absolutely life changing, but the portal itself and the way it's lined up currently right now, it's just not a good situation for everybody involved. Players, coaches, fans. TV networks because it's going to be interesting to see Arkansas play Texas Tech with as many guys as missing from the roster and some of the young guys that replacing them. So it's pretty nasty.
Richard, I want to ask you about that because I think about a situation. I don't know if this is 100% accurate or not, but with Kendall Briles. Kendall Briles evidently was pursued by some other schools, and it took a raise to get him here, and evidently he was pursued again. And the second time it was not met or whatever, and so they left. I don't know 100% behind the scenes. That was just what was told to me. So my question is, what's the difference between a situation like that and a situation where let's say a player gets offered this amount of money, comes to a coach, and says, hey, coach, I've been offered this. Can you match it? The coach says yes. Then a week or so later, gets offered more money for another team and presents it to coach. Like, is that like similar in your opinion when it comes to just negotiating within college sports?
I guess you could make that comparison. My deal is that most of these coaches have kind of paid their dues through the years, and to go from one school to another after about 10, 15 years of coaching and trying to go up the ladder, in their profession, where kids coming right out of high school and after a year or so that they're supposedly worth all this money, and I get it. That's whatever the market value is, that's what they're getting. But at the same time, I mean, ESPN reported just recently like 31% of the guys that are in the portal are on their third or fourth school. It's a lot to take in when you're 18, 19, 20 years old. Your life experience is not as great as a 30-year-old or someone older. You don't see. I think anybody, as they get older, they look back and I can say for sure in my situation, I was a knucklehead at age 18 to 22. I was a good kid overall, and overall made some good decisions. But I think the way it's set up right now, it's set up to where kids are making decisions that maybe they shouldn't be making because they're inexperienced in life, and sometimes their parents are just. Some parents are they're not good influences, yeah. And then there's good parents too. So that is up for debate. It's just that I just look at the how kids are going from one situation to the next, and it may not necessarily just be money. It just may mean, I don't want to wait behind, or I don't want to compete. And the grass is going to be greener over here when a lot of times it's not. So anyway, I don't know if I really answered your question that much, but I just hate seeing so many kids, really some on their fourth, fifth school, and it just looks bad for them. They're not learning much about going through adversity and overcoming adversity. They're basically, a lot of them are just running from it.
So, as you look at what's left the portal, I know the numbers don't balance at this point. They've got a ways to go to be kind of a one-for-one plan, is what Coach Pittman talked about. But do you see some silver linings here? Is Arkansas upgrading at some spots based on what was lost and what's come into this point?
That remains to be seen. I mean, I don't want to say either way. I really don't know until these guys, get on campus and go through spring practice and obviously go through a season. You truly don't know. But I do think that there's some promise. Jaden Platt, the tight end, he was, if you compare him and Luke Haas, he was a little bit more highly rated than Luke. It's not a dig at Luke or anything like that. Luke's obviously been more productive than Jaden, but sometimes I've seen guys in Jaden's situation where he, for 2 years he didn't really have much production. Then he goes to another school, gets into another system, another coach believing in him, and they start to flourish. We'll see there. I think Kenai Walker from Oklahoma, he started 7-8 games for Oklahoma this year. Bigger corner, who I think is a great addition. Is a very, very mature guy. And then Shaq McCoy, obviously everybody's been talking about him, the 6'8", 375-pound offensive lineman from Oregon who was recruited by Arkansas coming out of high school in Alabama, 4-star. He's rated, I think, in the top 15 in the country at offensive tackle as far as the portal, and he's the only true freshman in that top 15. Everybody else is basically sophomore, juniors, and seniors. So I think they did well there. And Cam Shanks, I think he's a guy that obviously was very successful at UAB as a returner, led the nation in punt returns, yardage, and I think he had 2 touchdowns in punt returns. So I think he's a good addition, and he's got a couple of teammates that are actually visiting today. And then they had some yesterday that visited that are very promising. Now, I'm not saying that they're going to close on them, but if they're able to close on most of these guys, I think you could say that they definitely helped themselves. Corey Robinson, the number 2 offensive tackle in the portal from Georgia Tech, seems like he had a really good visit. He plans to visit Oklahoma and Texas Tech, but I think he sees the opportunity to come in and step in immediately and start. So I think I think things are trending well there, but we'll see what happens after the 2 visits that he.
Did we lose Richard?
RD?
I think we
and drop a sec.
See if we can get that connection back. Because you got some players there, but it also sounds like still some areas of need. That's what I wanted to ask.
Well, that's a question everyone wants to know. You're not going to know until 3rd week of the season against Ole Miss. I mean, you play Sister of the Poor week 1. We'll see if Arkansas State gives you any toughness in week 2, which I think they will. And then when you go to Oxford week 3, we'll find out.
All right, we got Richard back. Last question, and we'll let you go. Is the greatest area of need to fulfill in the transfer portal running back right now, or is there another area that we're looking past when we look at all the exits we've had from the running back room?
Well, I think receiver, running back, Ismail Mahadi, Mahadi.
It's hard to say.
From Texas, Texas Tech, from Texas State, visited yesterday. He's rated, I think, number 2 or number 3 running back in the portal, and he plans to make some other visits. I think Arizona's one of them. But I think, with the numbers you have in the running back room right now, I think that makes Arkansas even more attractive to him. But I think running back, receivers, and obviously the offensive line, you got to continue to add there. And I think Corey Robinson would obviously be a huge get there. But I think those positions are kind of ones that you really need to focus on. But every position other than quarterback, I think you could look at and say, hey, they need 2 or 3 guys in each position.
Richard, we'll leave it there, man. Appreciate you giving us an update on what's going on with Arkansas football with the guys that are possibly going to wind up and have winded up here in Fayetteville. And we'll see if we got more news, not next week because it'll be Christmas, but following that and the Liberty Bowl, we can react to that as well.
All right, man. Thank you, guys. See you.
BetOnline is the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for online betting. From the earliest odds to in-game live betting, BetOnline provides you with all the action and the ability to watch the games as they happen. With the largest selection of odds on everything from football, NBA, and college basketball, NHL to UFC and MMA. Head to BetOnline today to get in on the action with America's most trusted site for online wagering. BetOnline, the game starts here.